Travis Scott's Utopia. This was getting back to our conversation about albums and how they live for me. Last time Travis Scott dropped an album was Astroworld. And Astroworld lived. It lived. Till this day, I can listen to Astroworld, turn that on, and enjoy that. I struggled with Utopia. I struggled with Utopia personally, Paul. It wasn't an easy listen to. And the more I listened to it, one, because I thought, okay, we're probably going to review it at some point. And two, because I'm a Travis Scott fan and I couldn't fathom not enjoying a Travis Scott album. So I gave it more opportunities and chances than I'd usually give an album that I don't like immediately. The main thing or the main conclusion that I ended up going to is an album with some good songs on there. For sure, there's some good songs on there, but there's also a lot of bad songs on there or a lot of nothing songs on there that essentially led to me just, I can only enjoy this album if I give myself the liberty to skip half the album, which to me is the easiest sign of a bad album.
My guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said a lot of words to get to a simple conclusion. It's not a good album. Like, it's just not. There's like 4 songs on this album that I like. It's obviously in a typical Travis Scott way, it's feature heavy. And the features don't stand out in the way that previous Travis Scott albums that feature heavy do. I think the strength of Astroworld is that every single feature that we heard was of such a high quality and to such a high level. So built and built and built. So when you heard Frank on Carousel, you were like, man, that was crazy. So then by the time Drake then came on Sicko Mode, it took to another level. And then took to another level and kept rising and rising and rising. This doesn't do that. It feels like it's just features for the sake of features. Some of the names don't really fit on Travis Scott songs, or they just don't fit on the song that they're on, to be honest with you. And so it just feels like a weird amalgamation, a mishmash of sounds. And it's hollow. There's nothing really there that connects any of this. And that's typically the case for most Travis Scott albums, other than Rodeo, I think, personally. But it's just not good. It's just not good. And it's way too long. Needlessly too long. Now, Travis Scott likes a longer album anyway, typically close to an hour. This one, an hour and 15 or thereabouts. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's needlessly too long, especially when the features then aren't of the high standard. It just needed to be quality controlled better. And I think to me, this is just a bad album. Simple, plain and simple. Like I said, there's 4 songs that I like, that I do keep going back and listening to. I thought Drake was sensational on Meltdown, like world-class verse from Drake. I thought My Eyes with Sampha was sensational.
Continue, yeah.
I thought My Eyes with Sampha was sensational. I thought West Side Gun on Lost Forever was sensational. And then I thought Till Further Notice with James Blake and 21 Savage to close out the album. But other than that, left a lot to be desired.
That's my thing with this album as a whole. Was majority of my enjoyment of this album came in the second half of the album. In fact, it came towards the end. Towards the end is where I realized, okay, I'm not pressing skip as much. A lot of this album, especially on Travis Scott's side, sounds like a bad Travis Scott impersonation. Like, you know, those YouTubers that will be there and they'll be like, let's make a song that sounds like Travis Scott in 5 minutes. A lot of the album sounded like that, which I think is bad. It's bad in general. I mean, I heard one person say, or people in the music industry say, that he's been working on this album for the last 5 years. And I don't doubt it, because a lot of the songs sound like they might have done something 5 years ago, but today, I don't know. And then for all of them to be on one album, and as you said, a lot of those features don't necessarily fit. A lot of the features do come out to play, like SZA came out and really just bodied everything for the 30 seconds that she was on mic. Insane what SZA did. West Side Gun, the feature that you mentioned already, all went crazy, but in general, it was just a disappointment. It was a disappointment, and it was something that I felt like I was forcing myself to listen to it rather than ever listening to it and just enjoying it for what it was. So yeah, I wasn't happy with it.
No, me neither. I think that's a lot of the way that, to me, that's what I thought as well, especially when it dropped. And I saw a lot of people getting it praise. I felt like you guys were forcing. I couldn't see how someone really just likes this album for it being itself. I feel like there are a lot of people who are forcing themselves to like it because it's Travis Scott, and that shouldn't be the way you listen to music. Personally, and that definitely shouldn't be the way you listen to music as someone who is as talented as Travis Scott is. Like, you don't need to give them a pass for a bad album. Like, it's okay to have a bad album. Do you know what I mean? If this is his first, if you say what, even if you go deeper than album, you say Al Pharaoh, Road to Rodeo, or Days Before Rodeo, Birds in the Trap, Astro World, Jack Boys, and then this. If you're saying this is the first downer, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just this is the downer, and I think it's just the hype of people being like, "Can't wait to get to Utopia. Can't wait for Utopia. Can't wait for Utopia." I'm like, maybe we could have waited a little bit longer. To be fair, I think that you're right. I think the problem is probably waited too long, because I think I saw a lot of people talking about you can hear the Yeezus influence on this. And obviously, if you know how much Travis Scott actually worked on that album, Yeezus, back in 2013, it makes sense. But I'm like, bro, that album came out in 2013 for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. It just sounds dated, man. It sounds dated. Yeah, it's disappointing, but as you said, for this to be his first down album in a colophony, is that a word? Feels like one.
No.
Not what's the word I was thinking of?
I have no idea. I really wish I could help you.
Oh man, in so many albums that have just been stellar albums, if not some of the best albums when they dropped. It's not too bad. It's not too bad in terms of a career, man. But to not take up too much more time, do you want to take this to the album rankings?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So the album rankings go as such. I hate that I ever listened to this. Won't be listened to again. Whole lot of mid. Might stay in rotation for about a week. Pretty damn good. Serious project. And then either me and or Paul can give the album our 50% stamp of approval. In the case that we both give an album our 50% stamp of approval, the album will become Two Stubborn Nigerian approved. Paul, what are you giving this album?
I think the beauty of doing this so many weeks removed from an album is that I actually know whether an album's going to stay in rotation or not, or whether I'll never listen to it again or shit like that, which is really cool. This album has not been listened to again, so it can sit right there. I don't hate that I ever listened to it, because if I never listened to it, I wouldn't have heard that Hall of Fame feature from Drake. Meltdown is Drake is that song is sensational. Drake is insane. Drake's had a stellar feature run in 2023, man. I can't wait to get to the end of the year and potentially celebrate that. And I always love hearing Sampha album dropping soon, which is brilliant. So I can't say that I hate that I ever listened to this, but this shit in its entirety is never getting listened to again. Not happening. How about yourself?
No, I'm right there with you, man. It won't be listened to again. Man, the features on this album, there's some features on this album that just about saved it from being an album that I hate I ever listened to. As I said, SZA's feature. One feature that I didn't mention, that it would be a shame if I didn't mention, Young Thug on Schizo. I always forget how much I miss Young Thug until I hear him, and I'm like, man, where have you been? I know exactly where you are, but where have you been? You can't get a mic in there. Man, yeah, no, Young Thug on Schizo was crazy. As you said, Drake went insane. The features, the good features on this album are just enough for me to say I don't hate that I ever listened to this. But I am ecstatic that now that we have done this review, I do no longer have to force myself to listen to this album to see if I can pick up anything, because the 5-7 times I listened to this album whilst wincing through my teeth, whilst not enjoying myself, I didn't. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun, and I'm just happy that I don't have to do that anymore, man. So yeah, it won't be listened to again for me.
Before we move on, just quickly, because you mentioned something there which I think is really important. You said when you were talking with Young Thug, can't you get a mic in there? So I'm going to use this moment as once again an opportunity to call upon the correctional facilities. Please free Pooh Shiesty. Please free Pooh Shiesty. That's what the game is missing. That is what the game. No one has had fun. Like they're back in blood fun since he's gone in. Do you know how fun life was when Back in Blood was just out and dominating the streets? Also, going back to what we've been listening to, I forgot to mention, man, Sexy Red, you've been dominating this summer, man. You've dominated this summer, bro. Come on. Man said Pound Town. No, Pound Town, Ski You. Yeah, Sexy Red, you've won this summer, man. Appreciate you. I appreciate you coming through when we needed you the most. For real.
We needed you the most.
When we needed someone to cut, she stepped up like the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Get out of it, man. Like the Winter Soldier. Yeah, man.
You see the way Thor landed in Wakanda in Infinity War Part 1? That's how Sexy Red landed on this summer.
Man, do you know how many Sexy Red edits we've already got? Now you want to Thor Sexy Red edit?
Yeah,
and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I have to do it now.
Sexy Red Pound Town.
Oh man, that was our review of Travis Scott's Utopia. Should we get straight into the next one?